we'll be going over the deck I will personally be playing this season, which is the Cynthia's Garchomp deck. And I like this deck a lot because I like Cynthia's Garchomp, and it is a very pretty card, and it does a whole lot of damage, and you can really rack up like 400 HP points of health, which is a lot. And so this is the deck profile for Garchomp, and let's get into it. We're going to start with Pokemon. We just have the 3 Garchomp, and that's a decent attacker amount, and it's going to do well. The 2 attacks that we are going to be using are Corkscrew Dive and Draconic Buster, right? Yes. Corkscrew Dive, you do 100, and then you may draw until you have 6 in your hand, so you don't always deck out sometimes. Draconic Buster does 260, but you have to discard all energy. So you're only discarding 2 energy, and so you kind of have to play it right so that you can Corkscrew Drive and then have an ability to use Draconic Buster sometimes multiple turns in a row when you're taking out things like Dragapult or something where you didn't do a whole lot of damage. And so we're going to play 3 of these, and because we play 3 of them, we're also going to play 3 Gabite. Gabite has the ability Champion's Call. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for a Cynthia's Pokemon and then put it in your hand. You do have to reveal it, but that means we can search out our Roserade, any evolution lines like Garchomp itself, or just another Gible or another Gabite. It's really good when you chain Gabites together and then you get to use a ton of them. And so we'll be playing 3 of those to go with our 3 EXs. And then we never want to lose an attacker, so we always want to have a Gible on the field. And so that way, in case something happens, we can always get another Gible and get another Garchomp, and then we'll be prepped to attack in case they take out a Garchomp, because sometimes it does happen and they hit them hard. So we'll be playing 4 of those. For our support Pokemon, we have Roserade. Now, Cynthia's Roserade has Cheer On to Glory, which is attacks used by your Cynthia's Pokemon do 30 more damage. And this is before weakness. So you can do a whole lot of damage with this. And they stack. So we're playing 2 of them. That's an extra 60 damage. Excuse me. So with Garchomp's Draconic Buster, it could do plus 60. So you're doing 320 damage. Or for Corkscrew Dive, you do 160 damage. So you can already, 320 damage knocks out a whole lot of EXs. Knocks out Gardevoir, and then it's doing a whole lot of damage to plenty of people. And so we'll play 2 Roserade, and then just 2 Roselia to go with them to get them on the field. You usually only have 1 Roserade out at a time because on your bench you're going to have Monkey Dory. And I think we all know what Monkey Dory does, where you can move up to 3 damage counters from one of your Pokemon to one of your opponents. Because Garchomp can get so much health, when someone hits it, you can then move those damage back to their Pokemon, and then one-shot them with Garchomp. So this is almost like a Cynthia's Roserade, as long as you've already been hit. Because with Roserade, it's 30 more. Monkey Dory heals yourself and does 30 to them. And so having Monkey sometimes is better than having Roserade because you're self-healing yourself, and then you're also hitting them to do more damage. And then you can, like, spread attack and hit a target that you might not have knocked out last turn that they retreated to the bench, and you can knock out stuff that normally... Or you can just take out a Budew, because we all hate Budew. And speaking of Budew, our one little support Pokemon is not Budew, it is Cleffa, where for no energy you can draw until you have 7 in your hand. Obviously, Garchomp's top attack, Corkscrew Dive, makes you draw until you have 6, but he's a stage 3, so it takes a second. So you can get Cleffa out, like, start game. So if you start with a Cleffa in your hand, it's pretty good, because then you can just draw until you have 7 and really start setting up stuff, because then you don't have to search out for everything, because you're just drawing it. So Cleffa's a support Pokemon. Our other support Pokemon is Shaman, where it has Flower Curtain, where you can prevent all damage done to your bench Pokemon that don't have a rule box by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. So if you have any of these guys on your bench, they will not be damaged because Shaman is on your bench. And so this is here for like Wellspring Mask. Dragapult does bypass it because it's an effective attack, it's not a damage. So you can be hit by Dragapult, so protect your Cleffa. And it doesn't block Monkey Dory, of course. But if they're using something like Darmanitan from the Ends deck, or they're using a Wellspring Mask, then you can protect your bench and not get hit. It also blocks Greninja EX, which hits both an active and a bench. So that's helpful because you can protect your stuff from them. And then our last Pokemon is a semi-attacker, or it is an attacker, Cynthia Spiritomb. It does 10 damage for each damage counter on all of your benched Cynthia's Pokemon. And it's not affected by weakness. So you're just hitting numbers. So Cynthia's Roserade and Garchomp. So if someone hits a Garchomp, he has free retreat. And so you can just retreat him right to the bench with, let's say, like 280 damage. Then you can one attach. You just need one energy on Spiritomb. And you retreat it to Spiritomb, and now you do 280 damage, because that's how much damage is on your bench, on your Cynthia's Pokemon. So if they're using Monkey Dory, or if they have a Frostlass, and they're stacking up damage on your Roserade and on your Gabite, because they have abilities, that's racking up more damage for Spiritomb to do. So Spiritomb's really... It's especially good when you have it in your hand and they don't know you have it, because then you can play it down, play an energy on it, retreat to it, and just smack them for a whole ton of damage. I've one-shotted like Dragapults and all the horrid stuff like Grimmsnarl and everything. They like hit me, and then I just drop him, attach, switch to it, and then smack them all that damage back. And I love Spiritomb, so you want to definitely have one copy in here just in case something happens. And so that's all our Pokemon. Scoot these guys over. And then we'll go to trainers next. We've got a hefty amount of trainers in here. So I'm going to scoot all these guys over so you can see them all. Okay. We got a good chunk of trainers for you. We're going to start with 4-Arven. We play 4-Arven because you're searching out much items. I'll show you the items in a second. And so Arven can get you item and a tool card. And so you're grabbing whatever you need at that given moment in time. It's mainly for our items. I'll grab the items now so you know what we're playing. And we're only playing, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. We're playing the 3 Power Weight. The 3 Power Weight gives Cynthia's Pokemon plus 70 HP. And so this is good for, you know, your Garchomps, getting them to 400 because they're at 330. So 330 with a Power Weight is 400 HP, and you can make your Roserades 200 HP because they're at 130, and that way you can protect them. Sometimes you drop it onto Spiritomb too, because then Spiritomb will have 140 health, and that way they can't like knock them out right away with just like a derpy little Pokemon. And so this way, we're searching these out with Arven because we definitely need these. And then our other 2 tools are just a rescue board, which we're probably going to change to Air Balloon now that that is in rotation. Because Air Balloon is, the retreat cost is just 2 less. This one is just 1 less, and if it's 30 HP or less, it has 1. Honestly, you can just play this though, because nothing in here has a retreat cost of 2. Everything is just retreat cost 1. So this or Air Balloon, it really does not matter because it doesn't change. And then TM Evolution, so TM Evo, you choose 2 your benched. For each of those, you search your deck for a card that evolves and put it onto them. So that's for start game. So if you have an Arven and you're going second, you can play that, get your TM out. Usually, if you have an energy, then you can attach to, let's say, Cleffa, who's in the active spot, and then pick 2 Gibble or pick a Roselia and a Gibble. And then it's helpful when you pick 2 Gibble, because then you can grab out 2 Gabites that have the ability to then search out all the other guys. And so you can just get a ton of Pokemon on board real quick. So those are our tool cards. Set those aside. Those are what Arven is searching for. After Arven, we'll play 3 Iono, because sometimes we want to shuffle all the big hands we have into our deck, and it's for disrupting our opponent. Anything we can do to disrupt our opponent is good, because we don't want them to set up, and we just want to knock them out as soon as possible with our Garchomp and with anything else we can do. And so 3 Iono really works for the deck and helps with disruption. Now, because we have Monkey Dory and Garchomp, we're going to want to play Crispin. Crispin gets us our Dark Energy and our Fighting Energy out. That way we can play it and we can attach to Monkey Dory and a Garchomp in a turn. Or sometimes when you have your energy, you'll play a Crispin, you'll search out a dark type and a fighting type, but you'll already have a fighting type in hand. So let's say last turn you used Draconic Buster and you discarded all energy, and you need to do this again to knock him out, because maybe it's a new Pokemon or something. And so because you need to use it again, you have no energy on him. So by using Crispin, you pull out a fighting energy and you can attach that to him, and then the fighting you already have in hand, you can then hand attach that, and then you can just keep the dark in hand, and you don't do anything with that for now. And that way you've one turn loaded up Garchomp right after using Draconic Buster. So you can double load and attack twice in a row with Draconic Buster, doing a whole ton of damage. And so you can really hit him hard, and that's why we want to play Crispin. So sometimes it's for Monkey Dory, but most of the time it's for double loading Garchomp, just to be able to hit him real hard. For more disruption, 2 boss, because we don't always hit the high numbers, and so if we want to hit exact numbers, or if we want to boss up something that's on the bench and then take out that, like a support Pokemon or Fez, we really easily kill Fez. So boss's orders helps. Speaking of Fez, I just want to go over how crazy it is, how much damage we do to Fez. If you hit it just with Corkscrew Dive, if you have 1 Roserade on the field, that's 130. The weakness makes it 260. So Fez is just dead. Fez is gone. And if you hit it with Draconic Buster, for whatever reason, you think you have to hit it with the bottom attack, you don't have to, because it's already dead with just 260 and the weakness. But if you have 2 Roserade on the field and you're using Draconic Buster, that's 60 plus here, so 320 times 2 is 640 damage. So you're doing a crap ton of damage. Imagine if you played more Roserade on the field. You would just annihilate any Darkness type Pokemon that's weak to fighting. And so boss up the Fez, because it's a good Pokemon to just take out and rid from the field, because you do not want them having Fez, and it is so easy to kill with Garchomp. Our last supporter is a Professor's Research. We're just going to play one of these. It helps for when you don't have Cleffa, or if you just have a trashy hand and you don't have Iono, or you don't want to Iono them because they're already at a small hand. It's just helpful to be here for the Professor's Research. And sometimes if you have cards in hand that you just don't need and you don't want to Iono back into your deck, just use the Research and get rid of them for the game, because you're not going to use them. Now for our items, we've got quite a few of these left. We've got 4 Buddy Buddy Poffins, because everything we have uses 70 HP. For our little guys, Shaman's 80, but these 4 right here, these guys are 70 HP. So usually at the start game, you want to get, it's based on what you have, but on the field, on a perfect play, you would have 2 Gibble and a Roselia. And if you can get a Monkey Dory out there, awesome. If it's start game, you're okay to have a Cleffa. And so you can add a Cleffa and get that out. But ideally, if all goes wrong, you want to have like a Roselia in the active spot and these guys here. That way if they, because you don't want a Gibble to be like able to be knocked out. You always want to keep them safe, because if they knock out your Gibble, then you have literally no other attackers besides Spiritomb, but Spiritomb can't do anything if you have no damage on your Gibbles or your Garchomps. And so that's how you want to use Buddy Buddy, is you want to get 2 Gibble or Roselia or vice, and just get what you can out in the given moment. Sometimes you need to get Cleffa for start game, so you can use Cleffa, but that's how we want to use Buddy. Get 2 Gibbles and a Roselia, and if you can get Cleffa, grab a Cleffa. We'll use 4 of those. Next, we'll have 2 Ultra Balls. This is kind of all we got left for Pokemon Search. It's just going to be the Buddies and Ultra Balls, because Cynthia's Gabite searches out for any of our Cynthia's Pokemon. So these are really for the Monkey Dories or the Shaman. And so sometimes it's for an evolution, because you don't have a Gabite or something, and so you need to use an Ultra Ball for it. But Monkey Dory mainly, and for Shaman, because it's above 70 HP, you want to use Ultra Balls, and those will work well, and it helps for getting rid of resources that you don't need. Next, we have 1 Earthen Vessel. We're just going to play 1, because we have the 2 Crispin, and you don't need a whole ton of energy, and so, but you definitely want to be able to. What I usually do is start game if I don't have an energy in hand. I'll Arven for the TM Evo with an earthen vessel, and I usually have a buddy in hand already, so I'll get out whatever I need, considering Gibble and Roselia or Cleffa, and then I'll use the TM Evo, and I'll just get rid of something with the earthen vessel, and with the earthen vessel, with those energies, I'll then use it to TM Evo to level up my bench or evolve them. And so most people won't play an earthen vessel. I like playing it because I can Arven for it to guarantee myself an energy going first. That way I never miss an attack. Next, we'll play 2 rare candies. We're just going to play the 2 because we don't want too many of them in here to flood, because we're not going to use so many of them. But it helps for the turn. Let's see, if you go first, then they go, and then they go, and then you go, you'll be able to just rare candy into the Garchomp right off the bat and then hit him real hard. And so rare candy is good because it helps you to set up how you need to and just get a quick attack off. So you can also Arven for that if you already have like Garchomp in your hand and you already have Gibble. And so we'll play 2 rare candy to help with quick evolutions. For recovery, we're going to have 1 Night Stretcher and 1 Super Rod. So in case you ever need like a one-off card, let's say your Spiritomb dies, you can just Night Stretcher for it. If you're getting low on energy because you're using Garchomp's attack, you can Super Rod and put all those energies back into the deck. Sometimes you'll Night Stretcher for an energy, and that's okay. It happens. If you changed anything about this deck, you would want to add another Night Stretcher or Super Rod, because things get discarded, and if you're playing a long game and you're using Draconic Buster a ton and getting all your energies into your discard, you have to be really particular about every single energy in your deck. So that's one thing with this deck, is you have to make sure you know where your energy is and how you're going to use it, because there's not a whole lot of it once you start using Draconic Buster and discarding it. One more item is our Counter Catcher, and this is just here because sometimes they'll knock you out. They'll take a little, like Monkey Dory or Cleffa, and Cleffa's gone, or they'll hit a Rose Raid, and so you're down a prize. And so just hit him with Counter Catcher. That way you don't have to use a boss, and you can quick KO, like rare candy your Garchomp, Counter Catcher something, and take something out. And so Counter Catcher works. It's good for a boss, and it's helpful for using stuff. For our ace spec, it is an item, but it's our ace spec. We're using Secret Box, where you can only use it if you discard 3 other cards, and you search your deck for an item, a tool, a supporter, and then our stadium cards. So this is helpful when you just have like some extra stuff in your deck or in your hand that you're not really going to use. Let's say you don't need your rare candies, or you have an extra Poffin. You can discard 3 things with this, and then you can search for items. Let's say you search for like a recovery item, and then you get a tool, so you grab another power weight, and then a stadium, so you'll grab one of the stadiums, and then a supporter. And so this is helpful because it just gets a ton of things out for you, and then you're able to use them all, and it's really precise with what it does. So I like using Secret Box. Prime Catcher is okay to use, but I wouldn't suggest it. Other ace specs that have been incorporated here were Precious Trolley. I tried Precious Trolley for a bit. It was good for getting my Gibbles and Roselias and everything out, and it's good for like Monkey Dory, but it just didn't feel as consistent because you had to Arven for it. Sometimes I'll still Arven for Secret Box, but sometimes I'll just get Secret Box, and then I get all these different things. I get 4 different card types instead of just all my basic Pokemon. And we play enough buddies to not play a Trolley, because if we played Trolley, we just get rid of some of the buddies, and then we wouldn't have as many cards, and we'd have to then add other stuff in. So the 2 stadiums that you can search out using Secret Box would be Artisan, which is once during each player's turn, they search their deck for a basic that doesn't have a rule box and put it on their bench. This is for Monkey Dory and sometimes Shaman, but really it's using it for Monkey Dories to get them out because you don't have any like nest balls to search for them. So Artisan is going to get your Monkey Dories, and it's going to help with, getting them out. And sometimes you'll get a Gibble or Roselia, but usually you already have enough. Sometimes you'll get a Roselia after you've gotten your monkeys, because if you have extra spots. But I would suggest always leaving 1 spot on your bench open for versatility. because then you can drop another Gibble if they're about to knock out a Garchomp, or you can put another Roselia or another monkey, or maybe you have both monkeys and you're just keeping the space open for a Spiritomb. But really don't bench your Shaman unless you actually need it. So don't just chuck Shaman down, because Shaman's good, yes, for protecting your bench, but it's not used in a lot of different cases. If you're playing against Grimmsnarl, go ahead and use Shaman because it blocks those attacks from that damage. But really, when you're going against other stuff, you can play it for Gardevoir, because like Screamtail and Drifloon, or not Drifloon, but Screamtail, and that way you can just not worry about like your bench being attacked. But be wary, don't bench Shaman prematurely. For the other stadium, we have Team Rocket's Watchtower, where normal type Pokemon in play have no abilities. So that helps because it cancels Noctowl, it cancels Terapagos, it cancels Bouffalant, and so it gets all them, and it cancels Pidgey, or Pidgeot EX. So that way they can't use their abilities, and it kind of really screws up a Terapagos deck when they're benching Noctowl. So like if you're going against like Terrabox, or if you're going against Terapagos, or if you're going against Flareon and they're using Noctowl, or if you're going against just any deck that uses Noctowl, like Raging Bolt, you can drop down a Team Rocket's Watchtower. Usually you'll wait till they hit a stadium, or you'll just drop it in as soon as possible. That way you can, one, get rid of a stadium, or if they're already having Hoot on the bench, just drop Watchtower and just cancel them immediately, because you do not want their abilities to be working. And that's why Watchtowers here, we have that, we have the Ionos and the bosses and the counter catcher. We're going for messing with them and to disrupt them. Lastly, we have our energies. We will be playing 6 Fighting Energy. This way, with Fighting Energy, because you can power up 2 on a Garchomp, and then you'll have another 2, and then these can be somewhere in your deck or something. And so this is a good amount. This works consistently for me, so I wouldn't change it off of that, because I like using 6. Sometimes you could go 7, but you end up with too much of it sometimes, and it's better to have more cards available to you. So 6 is the lucky number for me for Fighting Energy. And then with 2 Monkey Dory, we're going to have 2 Dark Energy, because you only need 2 ever at a time, because you only have 2 Monkey Dory. So I wouldn't play any more. I don't know why you would play less, because then you only can use 1 monkey. So 2 Dark Energy, obviously. Use those. And then for our last card, it is a Luminous Energy. This helps us so that we can power up a Monkey Dory or a Garchomp at any time. It works for both of them, and that way, if you discarded a Dark, or if you don't have enough fighting, you can use Luminous, and it counts for either of them. This provides more versatility and allows for different combos, because then you can crispen out other energies, and if you've used all your energies, you can place special energy, so it works. So this is the full deck list. This is everything. And so you've got all your energies, you've got your supporters, your tools, the items, and then your Pokemon. So if you want to build it, there's your screenshot, so you can whatever. And so that's this deck. That's how to play it. I'll run through a practice game real quick so you can see how, like, what I mean with the buddies and everything. So I'll run through that real quick so you can see what to do. Okay, so here's your deck, and then let's say you're starting a game. Let's grab our starting handout. 3, 7, got that. And then we'll say we're tails. It is heads. So they went first, meaning we go second. We want to go second with this deck, because then you get all the good cards. I guess it should check if we have basic Pokemon first. We do. We have one. So there's our basic Pokemon. Grab our prize cards real quick. 3, 6. We'll lay those over here. Now, with your starting hand, I'll just kind of go through what I'm thinking. right here. I shuffled this a whole ton, and both rare candies are in here. That is embarrassing. Anyways, Roselia, this is not a very good starting hand, being completely honest. So hopefully we'll draw into something. They're going first, and so, you know, we reveal, they go. Now it's our turn. We draw. Gibble works. So their energy on, since we go second, you could play it on Gibble, but in this case, going second, I would play it on Roselia and hit him for 20. Let's say they had a Buddy or something. I just smack him for 20 damage, and so now they're almost dead. In this case, we wouldn't evolve or anything. They would then go, let's say they're doing their stuff, and then it turns to our turn. We go. Research is good in this case. We can Gabite, and let's see. We wouldn't want to get rid of the energy, so we play this here. With Gabite, we could search out something, but I think we research first to get a new 7. We lose both rare candies, and the Super Rod's really what we're worried about losing, but it's okay. Now we have here, and we've got Garchomp. We don't need the energy yet, and we've already played a supporter, so these guys can just chill back here. With these, we can bench a Roselia, pull out a Poffin to grab another Gibble. Where is he? Gibble. And then at this point, now that you're searching your deck, this is where you do your deck check. You'd check for what your prizes are, what you need, and everything. So we'd only want the one Gibble because ideally we have 2 Roselia out already. So we could lay a Monkey Dory and a Monkey Dory, or a Monkey and a Spiritomb, and we're leaving space for stuff. So with the Buddy, we're just going to grab Gibble, and we're going to put him on the bench. He's going to chill, and we'll shuffle all the fun stuff. And then, because we drew TM Evo, we can drop an Evo on Roselia. We've already played our energy, so nothing more we can do with our hand. And then with the TM Evo, we would... Oh, we haven't used Gabite yet. We would use Gabite first, because we buddied and we forgot to use Gabite. So before we TM Evo, we would Gabite for a Roserade and evolve, because we started with that. These 2 got placed this turn, though, so we can't evolve them yet, and he just got evolved. Now, after using his Champion's Call and getting Roserade evolved, we can still use TM Evo. Now, with TM Evo, in this situation, you could go about this 2 ways. I would either go Gabite and Garchomp. That way, next turn you can search out a Roselia or a Roserade and evolve Roserade, or you could search out a Garchomp. But the other way you could go is, instead of Garchomp, you would go another Roserade. So you could go Roserade, Gabite, and that way both of these guys can search out their own EX, and you could get both of them. The only thing, though, with getting both of these guys, with not getting them, is then you're left with this for the turn, and then they can knock this out. So if they had a Greninja EX and they hit you both, they could take out both Gabite right now, and that would suck, because then there goes your attackers. So if we're going against Greninja, we would 100% go Garchomp Gabite, because they're going to hit our bench, and we don't want to lose both attackers. Now he has health and will not die. However, if they're doing something else, let's say they're doing like the Dragapult or Gardevoir. If they're going Gardevoir, totally, I am doing 2 Gabite and a Roserade. That way, I can just wait and then go boom, boom, next turn with our Champion's Calls and search those out. And that way we have the 2 Roserade and the Garchomps. That way, now we have 60 plus the 260, so we're doing 320. So we're taking out Gardevoirs, and we're knocking them out. This way we have both Roserades. If we just did the one like this, and we evolved him, what was it, these 2, then with Gabite, we'd have to search out another Roserade, and then wait a whole nother turn to search out a Garchomp. That is, if we didn't get it from our hand, because we have Garchomp in our hand, so I would just get the Roserade and the, Roserade and the... There we go. Because I forgot we had Garchomp in our hand. If we have Garchomp in our hand, we don't have to worry about searching it out. So I just go Gabite and Roserade, and then... Wait, no, I don't need the Gabite right now. Yeah, we'd go here, and then Gabite. And then this would still be in our deck. Because this way, we use the TM Evo, it goes here, it's their turn. Let's say they smack Roserade for X amount of damage. Now that it's our turn, we can search out that Roserade again from the deck. And with that Roserade, evolve. And then we don't need to search out for Garchomp because it's in our hand. So we can just do that. This is why we look at all our resources. There you go. So that is how I would start and I would play with a really bad hand at the start. It was really good that we drew Professor's Research. If we didn't, hopefully we would have gotten this Arden sooner. But that's how I'd play it. And you'd get a monkey out when you can, once you start getting hit. And then watch for how much damage you have on your benched Cynthia's Pokemon. Even if it's like on your Garchomp, because you're going to retreat all your Pokemon to get Spiritomb up there. So keep track of how much damage is on these guys. With this Arven, we would have played it and probably grabbed, I don't know what as far as items, but we definitely would have grabbed the Cynthia's Power Weight tool to get this guy at 400 HP, and then we'd play an energy on him, and then we'd be attacking and smacking things for a whole ton of damage because we got both Roserades. That's what I do for this deck and for Cynthia's Garchomp. I really like this deck because, as you saw, it's been like 3 turns, and this is our board. So it's pretty quick. You only need 2 energy to attack, and you can evolve stuff, and you're searching out your own resources with Gabite, which is really great. And then if you hit with Corkscrew Dive, we have a low hand right now, but all you have to do is pull off 1 attack with Corkscrew Dive, and that's a new hand of 6. If you had played all your cards, because it's draw until you have 6. So new hands, and then we're doing a ton of damage. So this is why I really like this deck. I will be bringing this to tournaments and definitely showing y'all guys that because it is great. And if you want to see those tournaments and like see the updates and whatever, you can join the guild, which I will just link the stuff in the description, and you can look at that stuff. Yeah, if you like these deck breakdowns and guides, leave a like or subscribe, and you'll see more when I post more. And yeah, hope you like that. That is Cynthia's Garchomp.